Hi, my name is Eric Olson, Director of Helps Law Group. If we're sending you this video, a link to this YouTube video, because we think it's really important. This video is designed for Helps clients or people that are investigating Helps or people that we talk to that either carry a mortgage into retirement or own a home free and clear, and many of whom have perhaps a significant equity in the home. Many of whom may owe debt or have lower incomes and may have difficulty making a house payment if they're required to make a house payment on a mortgage. I talk with seniors all day long. It helps. Hundreds of seniors every week we speak with. And many of them are buying a home and have equity in a home. And that's why we're sending this video. I really want you to listen to it because it's really important. So let me give you an example of a situation that might apply. Let's say, for example, you're married, the husband is 75, the wife is 70, and you own a mortgage, you have a mortgage on the home, you owe $70,000 with a $900 house payment. The husband's income is Social Security of $1,700 a month, and the wife's income of Social Security is $900 a month. Let's say the house payment is $900 a month. Well, let's make it $800 a month. So together, you might be able to afford the home. Your income together is, $1,700 and $900 is what, $2,600. You've got a $800 or $900 house payment, and things are a little tight, but you can afford the home. But what happens with one of the spouses passes away? The surviving spouse will get the higher of the two Social Securities. The other Social Security disappears. So if the wife passed away, she would get the husband's Social Security of $1,700. But if the house payment is $900, now she's living off of $800 a month, which is really difficult. Okay. Let me give you another example. Maybe you're a widow and you have a home that's free and clear that's worth $250,000. But you have to pay $3,600 in property insurance and taxes every year. But your income is only $1,200 from Social Security. That means $300 a month of that $1,200 is going to pay property insurance and taxes, leaving you $900 a month. Extremely tight. There's not a whole lot of money available for your needs like food and medicine and utilities and those kind of things. So these are kind of typical examples that we deal with. It helps. So I want to explain something that you might want to consider or look at. And that's what's called a reverse mortgage. Now, sometimes when I talk about a reverse mortgage, people say, well, I don't want that. And ask them why, and they can't explain why, except they heard something negative. I want to be real clear. I don't sell reverse mortgages. I have no economic interest whatsoever in seeing that you or anyone else gets a reverse mortgage. My only interest in Helps is, number one, protect seniors from collectors harassing, and number two, educate them how they can maintain their financial independence. So that second purpose is why you're getting this video. I want people to understand that there may be instances where a reverse mortgage could solve your problems. And anything you've heard in the past could be incorrect. There's just so many misconceptions about reverse mortgages out there. That's why I'm doing this video. I don't have time to explain this over and over again to people all day long. So I want to do this video. Now, I've got two guests here. I'll introduce them later, Ken Krajewski and Roger Barker. But to be really clear, I want you to listen to this video and what we talk about reverse mortgages. And if you are prejudiced against reverse mortgages, that's fine. Keep your prejudice, but do me a favor and your spouse a favor by listening to this video, okay? Because it may clear up some misconceptions you've had. First, I think what I'm going to do is introduce Ken. I've known Ken for 12 years. He works for First Nations Reverse Mortgage. He has helped a lot of Helps clients that have gotten reverse mortgages. In fact, he's helped Roger, who's also on the video screen with us today too. So I'm going to explain in just a couple sentences what a reverse mortgage does for someone. And then I'm going to ask some specific questions from Ken Krajewski from First Mortgage, from First Nations Reverse Mortgage. Okay, so a reverse mortgage will pay off the balance of any mortgage that you owe on your home, so you don't have a house payment. You still own the home. You can sell it if you want. You can live in it to the day you die if you want. You can still leave it to your family when you pass away. And when you get a reverse, you won't have a house payment. So that money that you've been making on the house payment is available for you, for your needs, like food and medicine and utilities and property taxes and whatever else. And depending on how much you owe and what your age is and how much equity there is in the home. And what do I mean by equity? Equity is what a home is worth minus what you owe. The difference is called equity. So if you have, $50,000 on a home and it's worth $250,000, you have a $200,000 equity. So depending on how much equity you have in your home and your age, you might be entitled to a line of credit, either in a lump sum, you could choose at any point, or extra money per month, in addition to paying off any mortgage that may be in existence. So I want to ask Ken some questions about a reverse mortgage so that we can, help you understand. Ken, how old does someone have to be to get a reverse mortgage?
The minimum age to get a reverse mortgage is 62 years old. If it is a couple, at least one person has to be 62 years old. But if somebody is under 62, it doesn't necessarily prevent the couple from getting the loan.
Okay. Give me the top 2 or 3 misconceptions, real briefly, what people have about reverse mortgages and why they're wrong.
The biggest misconception is that people believe they're giving up ownership of their home. That is not true. When you have a reverse mortgage, you still have full rights of ownership. You can sell your home whenever you want, and you still own all of the equity in your home.
Okay, what's the second misconception? Yeah, go ahead.
The second biggest misconception is people have heard stories of people who have lost their home or went into foreclosure because they had a reverse mortgage. Typically, that's incorrect. Reverse mortgages don't require a payment, so it's very difficult to default on a loan that doesn't require a payment. Usually, when people lose their home, it's because they stopped paying their property taxes.
Okay, let me jump in here, Ken, because I hear this sometimes from people, not that much, but some. Okay, let me explain this real quick. In the past, a lot of reverse mortgages let people pay their property taxes and insurance. They still do in many instances. But what happened with the Great Recession in 2008, sometimes the person's lost income, they weren't able to pay the property taxes anymore, and they went in default. And therefore, the reverse mortgage company, part of the requirement was they had to pay their property taxes, and they didn't pay them. So the reverse mortgage company chose to foreclose because the person wasn't able to pay their property taxes. And people sometimes blame the reverse mortgage for that reason, when in fact they didn't comply with that requirement. Now, isn't it true, Ken, that now it's a little bit more stricter, and that they have to be able to see that you've got enough money, income to maintain the property taxes insurance? Is that correct?
That is correct. And if you don't, we do have remedies for that, where we can set up the reverse mortgage to pay your taxes and insurance for you on your behalf.
Right.
And there are also a lot of people who voluntarily choose to do that because it makes budgeting a lot easier if they don't have to worry about a mortgage payment, taxes, or insurance.
Right. There are a lot of people say, oh, I want the reverse mortgage to pay the property tax insurance. And I've got another video that I've done, and I talk to people who have a reverse mortgage or bind on the property taxes on how to solve that problem, but we're not going to address that here. Okay. So to be real clear, you can leave, if you have a reverse mortgage, you can leave it, the equity, the home, to your children when you pass away.
That is correct. Absolutely.
So Ken, why would a reverse mortgage, why could that help protect a home for a surviving spouse?
A lot of the clients that come to us are married couples that understand that one of the spouses are going to pass away before the other. And that can be a concern for one of the spouses, that once they do become widowed, will they be able to pay their mortgage payments, or will they be able to afford to live in their home? So a lot of couples will come to us to get a reverse mortgage. And what that reverse mortgage will do is protect the surviving spouse by allowing them to borrow money against the home, but the home does not require a payment. So even when they're widowed, there still isn't a payment on the mortgage, so that debt doesn't impact them negatively, because their payment on the reverse mortgage is still nothing.
Yeah. Okay. I want to add to that, and I'm talking to the person looking at this video, because whenever I talk to a couple, and I'll ask, how much does the husband get? How much does the wife get? And I'll explain to them, well, what happens when statistically, a husband's more likely to pass away. If the husband passes away, the wife's Social Security goes away. She'll get the husband's Social Security. But in the example I stated earlier, if the income's only $1,700 and the house payment's $900, isn't that going to be more difficult? And couples don't look at that. They don't realize. So that's one reason I want this video to be clear, that this is a way to protect the home for a spouse. Now, Ken, let's talk real quick about how much equity. We talked about equity a few minutes ago. It's what a house is worth, what's owed. How can everyone probably knows how much they owe on their mortgage, or they can find out. How can they find out what their home is worth? What do they do?
Well, we have systems in place which can give us a very good idea of what homes are valued at, but that isn't the number that we use. Just like on any traditional mortgage, we have to get an appraisal done on the property, and the appraisal will determine the value of the home. And the value is then going to determine what the reverse mortgage benefit would be.
Okay, so let me jump in here, Ken. Let me tell what I tell people, and that's how you do it ultimately. So if you're getting this video and you can type in the address on your home. If you just simply type in the address, there's going to be usually 2 or 3 websites that will pop up. One of them is Zillow, one of them say realtor.com or something. There's different ones that will give you a good idea of the value of your home. And sometimes you might get a property tax statement that does that too. So when you look at that website video and what the home is, or on the internet, what the home is worth, subtract what you owe, that's the difference of your equity. And that's a good idea to get a general idea. Would you agree, Ken? Before they even contact you?
That will give us, for the most part, a good idea of what it's worth.
And then you have to do an appraisal with a reverse mortgage and get them, more accurate number, obviously. But so how much equity does a person have to have if they're age 62? Let's say, and then if they get older, does that amount of equity change?
Yes, the older you are, the more money that would become available to you. So somebody who's 62 would get less benefit than somebody who is 92. Generally, most people qualify for 50 to 60% of the value of their home.
Okay, so let me give an example. So let's say a person is 62 years old, or let's say 65, and they owe 50,000 and the home is worth $200,000. If those are the exact numbers, approximately how much would they be entitled to?
So they're going to get roughly 50% of the value of their home. So if their home was worth
$100,000, okay, that would be what, $175,000? Is that right?
Well, if their home was worth $200,000, the line of credit would be roughly $100,000.
Okay.
And then out of that line of credit, we would pay off their mortgage,
which would be $50,000.
Which would then leave them with an additional $50,000 available to them.
Now they could get that in extra money a little bit each month, or they could get it in kind of as a line of credit they could access, correct?
That's correct. Most people choose the line of credit and then they manage the line of credit themselves. They use it as they need.
Okay. So if you're looking at this video, you can get an idea of how much equity you have in your home by by typing in the address and determining approximately what the home is worth, subtract what you owe, that's your equity. Now, let's say a person is 78 years old. Let's use the same example. Let's say they owe 200,000 and they owe 50,000 on the home. Is there, what difference would there be?
Well, they're going to be able to borrow, the loan amount would be higher. So instead of getting maybe 50% of the value, they might get 60% of the value. So they might get an additional, based on the value of the home, they could get an additional $20,000 or $30,000 more that would be available to them in the line of credit that they can use whatever, they can use it for whatever they'd like to.
Yeah, and this would be important if you're looking at this video, is if you owe more money than 50,000 on the home, maybe you owed like 100,000 on the home or 110,000 on the home. It could, whereas if you're younger, there wouldn't be enough of the reverse mortgage for you to qualify, but if you're older, you would qualify. Is that correct, Ken?
That's correct, Eric. And the calculation for us is done very quickly. If somebody were to reach out, all that we need to know is the approximate value of their home and their age. And once I have those numbers, within 30 seconds, I can let them know how much they would qualify for. And then we can determine based on what they owe on their mortgage, whether or not this would be a good option for them.
Okay, so here's another, people are worried. Sometimes they're worried about their credit. Will your credit prevent you, poor credit prevent you from getting a reverse mortgage? Yes or no?
If you have credit issues, it changes the way a reverse mortgage is set up. If you have credit issues, it may require the reverse mortgage to pay your taxes and insurance for you.
Okay, so let me then answer that. Well, I'm going to answer the question for you then. Bad credit will not prevent you from getting a reverse mortgage, correct? You can, there'll be some other requirements, but you can still, you shouldn't think because you have bad credit that's automatically going to disqualify you from getting a reverse mortgage, correct?
That's correct. Bad credit does not automatically disqualify you from getting a reverse mortgage.
So let me talk to the audience here about this. So this comes up. What it may require is that there be a set aside from this equity that you're entitled to out of the reverse mortgage to be able to pay your property taxes and insurance based on your life expectancy. So if the property tax and insurance are way too high, then that could make it possible that you couldn't get a reverse mortgage. But there's little tricks that can be done to work around that sometimes. But let's go on. So okay, so that okay, does someone have to pay anything up front with you if they were going to apply for a reverse mortgage, if they were going to look into this?
Eric, you and I have been helping people with reverse mortgages, or I've been helping your clients with reverse mortgages for about 12 years. We do not charge HELP's clients anything out of pocket throughout the entire process of the reverse mortgage. All costs get financed into the loan.
Yeah. So I'm going to, before I introduce Roger, I'm going to say a couple other, just one other thing about a reverse mortgage. A lot of time I'll talk with, more often, you know, surprisingly, I'll talk to someone that would, a reverse mortgage would make sense. And they might say, well, I want to leave this equity to my children in my home. I don't want to get a reverse mortgage. Well, I explained to them that half of seniors before they pass away end up on Medicaid. And in that instance, the government will have a lien on your equity in your home. So sometimes seniors end up on, you know, eating macaroni and cheese, trying to protect an equity for their kids, when in fact, in the end, they leave it, all they did was benefit the government when they could have had a little bit easier lifetime in their senior ages. The other issue is, you know, I talk to a lot of children of seniors, and I don't think kids want mom and dad to go without, just to think that they're going to leave a little bit of equity to them at some point. They want mom and dad to be, mom to be comfortable and dad to be comfortable. That's something that should be factored in. So let me introduce Roger up here. Roger, good to see you. Thanks for being here today. Before I have Roger talk about his experience with reverse mortgage, Ken, real briefly explain what you did with Roger's okay, and it's okay if Ken explains about your situation and what he did for you about getting a reverse. Is that okay, Roger?
Sure.
Okay, Ken, real briefly, just sum it up.
Roger is a perfect example of a typical reverse mortgage borrower. He came to us with a mortgage that he carried into retirement that he couldn't afford anymore. What we did is we refinanced that mortgage into a reverse mortgage, and it eliminated that mortgage payment for him. Additionally, what we did is we created a set aside using the reverse mortgage proceeds that will pay his property taxes and homeowners insurance for him for roughly the next 15 years. So he can live in that house for the rest of his life without ever making a mortgage payment. And he does not have to worry about budgeting for his taxes and insurance for about the next 15 years.
Well, okay, that brings up a question. If they're gonna pay the property taxes and insurance, is that just for the next 15 years, or is that as long as he lives?
The set aside is set up for the next 15 years.
Okay, and then after that, he'll become responsible.
After that, he becomes responsible to pay his own taxes and insurance. He can still live in the house for the rest of his life. There will just be no more money left over in the reverse mortgage proceeds to cover the taxes and insurance for him.
Can a reverse mortgage be set up so that it'll pay your property taxes and insurance no matter how long you live?
It cannot. It's only set up for what is the rest of their expected life, and that's a fixed number.
Okay. Now, Roger, my understanding, your income was a little bit over $2,000 with Social Security and a little pension, correct?
Yes, sir.
How much was your house payment when you got the reverse?
$750 a month.
So that left you with about $1,250 or a little bit more each month to live on.
Yeah.
So how much money do you have to live on each month now?
All of it.
All of it. So
To pay my utilities, pay my food, pay my what I want to do. I've got pretty much not like a millionaire, but you know, I'm financially free.
are you glad you got the reverse?
I'm glad that I found helps, number one.
Okay.
Number
Thanks.
two, you had resources and you still have many more. But the resources you offered me gave me that financial freedom that I have today. And that concurs better health, not wealth, but I feel wealthy because of the freedom that I have.
So when you enrolled in HELPS, you had some debt, I assume.
Yeah, we had quite a bit of debt with
Oh.
my wife having cancer and things of that nature. And when I came to you, I was scatterbrained and didn't know what to do.
So we protected you from those creditors
And continually,
and continually now. And so when you got the reverse mortgage, it paid off what you owed on the home, correct?
mhm.
And none of that money was used to pay any of these old creditors, correct?
No, in fact, most of them have gone to the wayside.
Yeah, well, that happens a lot.
There residue people that want to try and get what my wife owed, and you're
Yeah.
taking care of that now.
Yeah, we're taking
Just
care
a
of that
death
for you.
certificate and
Sure.
we're done deal.
So in essence, what a reverse mortgage did, and as Ken explained, you're a good example. It paid off your mortgage. It allowed you to keep all your Social Security and your little pension for your needs. And you can live in the home to the day you die,
Mhm.
and no one can take it from you.
Or I could sell it.
Or you
and
could
go
sell
on
it.
a cruise. I don't know. Maybe my last joyride would be a cruise. I don't know.
Okay, well, that's great.
It sounds good to me.
Okay, so I want to draw this to a close. I want to thank both of you for appearing. And I want to remind the viewer, the reason I did this video was to selfishly save myself some time trying to explain what reverse mortgages are and how they work, and maybe clear up some misconceptions so that if you, after listening to this, you think, well, maybe I need to investigate this more, you'll do that. Now, we've got a couple emails we can send you, some interviews on reverse mortgages. Ken, why don't you give us your phone number? We'll put it down at the bottom of this video. People, you live in Michigan, but I know you help people with reverse mortgages all over the country, correct? Any state.
That's correct.
What's your phone number?
My phone number is 248-635-4866.
And
You
that
will
goes-
work with me directly.
That goes directly.
You'll
to
work
you.
with me directly from the beginning of the process till the end of the process. Throughout that process, we communicate through phone, through email, through text. We make it very easy for you.
And we have no financial agreement. You don't pay us any money at all if someone happens to contact you, correct? Never have,
Nothing, never.
never.
On
And
a personal note, Eric,
yep, go ahead.
on a personal note, you guys have always answered.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one more thing. If you're looking at this video, I mean, you can contact someone else regarding reverse mortgage. You don't have to contact Ken. I mean, he's available, answer your question. I trust him. But you need to look into it. If you're getting this video, weigh what's been explained. I mean, you can just change your life for yourself, or if you're married, you can change the life for your spouse when you pass away. I hope you've enjoyed it and have a great day. Thanks, Ken, and thanks, Roger, for participating.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everyone.